Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining today. If you're new to the podcast, I'm Reagan Sonnabend. I'm a real estate developer, a small business owner, and a corporate housing operator. Today, I am so excited to have with me the one and only Ashli Mason. Thanks for coming, Ashley.
Reagan, I'm so excited to be here. We've talked about this for so long now, and we've got so many things we need to dive into. I don't even know where we're going to start, but I'm so excited to be here. I've seen this podcast grow over the last couple of episodes. You're just so easy to talk to, and people want to share all of their secrets. So I'm excited for today.
Oh, I love it. Well, and I love you being the original edutainer. And of course, I've had the pleasure of being trained by you more than once and just continuing to follow your amazing journey and, seeing how you're helping to just spread the joy and educate our community and really elevate different leaders within the community to better be able to serve others. So I'm just excited to have you here and to have you share a little bit about your journey as well. So I'm kind of thinking about that. Tell me a little bit about kind of how you first got involved. And I know obviously it's changed from there. You've kind of taken a different path and done different things. But what got you started with Top Tier to begin with?
So my journey with real estate is a crazy clunky one because it most of it started in about 2022 where my husband was like, we're gonna be real estate investors. I was like, okay, you go do that. I'm gonna continue to homeschool and take care of our kids. Whatever you want to do, like I'm all for that. That sounds great. We sold our house. We walked away from a W-2. We were like, we're gonna do this. We're very dramatic sometimes with our decisions. I think I may have traumatized my family a tiny bit with this, but so we up and moved out of state, lived in my parents' basement, and my husband was learning wholesaling and lending and all the real estate investing stuff. And I was just having a great time homeschooling and enjoying the adventure. And we got to a point where nothing had really been played out exactly. And like, I mean, why do we even make plans? The plans never go according to plan.
Right.
And that was where TC work kind of came in. So I learned about this magical thing that was called a transaction coordinator in 2022 and had no idea what it was. I had no idea anything about real estate, not even traditional real estate, much
Oh,
less
wow.
creative. I couldn't tell you what ROI was. Like it was so bad. And I was like, well, I think I could do that transaction coordination thing. I'm good with papers and details and stuff. So I gave it a shot and hired a team within 30 days of starting the TC business. I'd never run a business before, never hired people before. Like it was just all new experience. But um I'm really grateful that team that I had, they learned alongside with me and they were very gracious and we just all kind of figured it out. And then I had an opportunity to start helping other transaction coordinators in creative real estate who were trying to figure everything out. And then lo and behold, this beautiful thing called Top Tier TC comes over. And I had developed an amazing relationship and friendship with Molly Tennant. And we had Pace that has already connected all of us. And, Molly was like, I think we're going to go do this thing. Do you want to come help? And I was like, yes, I want to come help. That's the whole reason why I'm helping all of these other people. So it became this evolutionary moment where I remember being in this position where I was talking with Pace. Molly had already talked to me about Top Tier, and he's like, why are you helping all these TCs on your team, and why are you helping all these TCs in the community? Like, why are you doing it? I was like, I want to change how TC like experience and education is because at up to that point it was kind of brutal. You had to just kind of pick up whatever you could pick up at the time. And he said this to me, and I'll never forget it. He's like, do you want to change 5 people's lives or do you want to change 500 people's lives?
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh, dang. Well, when you put it that way. And so after that conversation, I jumped in and I went all in with Molly and Pace and helping them with Top Tier. And that launched and it's got like over 1,000 members as of today. And now I get to help all these TCs to accelerate and gain like crazy momentum. I mean, some of these TCs, they're getting their first deal and they're like able to provide so much momentum to their families and their businesses within like weeks to months. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it took me a year to get to that point. So it's so fun to like see this journey and this path that has taken me 4 years to get through. And then I watch other people now where there's so much love and care that have gone into their experience with their education that they can do it in 4 months instead of 4 years. So
So that was kind of how you got started and kind of, the beginning of the journey, but yet where you are today is like an entirely different place. And when I think about like what connects all of that, I was thinking as you were talking, like one of the things I see about one of your superpowers is that you have this unique ability to kind of see excitement and chaos and great things going on, but to kind of like cut through all the stuff and see the part that really matters and like the underlying lesson and, things like that. And so I think that you have kind of taken that superpower and now kind of, gone down a winding path to get to this amazing role that you're doing now, where you're in a whole different level in a whole different way, really helping curate education for the entire community, not just the top tier part. But also, when I think about, how it all fits together, really, I think the beauty of the community is that, top tier, part of what I think is so amazing about it is that it has such an important role in getting transactions done well and safely and protecting all the visionaries out there that don't know what they don't know. And you need somebody kind of keeping everything in order. So
yeah.
talk a little bit about that, because it hasn't been directly from point A to point B. It's definitely been, a path I think that you probably didn't imagine it was going to be, but yet it's awesome.
I mean, we've been talking about this a little bit where I'm like, nothing on an entrepreneur path is ever a straight line. It's always bob and weave and do the things. But I mean, you're so kind to say that you're so kind to say that I have this superpower, because I think it was more developed out of like necessity of, hey, there is this chaos or there is this situation or there is this experience, and we could help so many more people if we were able to just bring the noise down a little bit and really hone it into that signal. And so that's most of what I focus on now. Like you were saying, is I'm curating experiences and education for lots of different programs to just help make that path as smooth and fun as possible for everybody, where we can't take the work out of it, obviously, but that's part of the reward is that we get the hard work done and then we get to play.
Absolutely. I love it. And when I think about like semesters, which probably wasn't necessarily the beginning of, you kind of shifting your focus, but for my own, experience with it, I guess it has been. And I mean, that's such a huge undertaking. And I know that there were semesters, quote unquote, before, but I feel like the catalog of semesters content and topics has grown dramatically. I mean, you've kind of created your own team to help do all the things you're doing because you couldn't do it by yourself. But you're also such a great leader for demonstrating like how you can do this and how you can kind of be orderly and make sure the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed and that you're doing things to the top of your ability at all times. So talk about how that has evolved and kind of the education content and curriculum, because it really is amazing to see even growing from that.
I I'm incredibly humbled that it looks like it's so put together because sometimes it doesn't feel like it's that put together, and so that I am very grateful that it seems that way on the outside. But I would say that for all of the programs and all the things that I've had the opportunity to apprentice in and to learn and to grow in, I've been in some really incredible rooms, and I can never repay how amazing my education has been. But I will say that um in the scaling of these programs, I learned a lot about what I was lacking as a leader, in
Mhm.
that, vision is amazing, momentum's amazing, all these things are amazing, but if you can't channel it into a directive, like progressive path, it's it's kind of like what Dean Graziosi says a lot, where he's like, you're just driving a Ferrari at 200 miles an hour. It doesn't really matter where you're going. You're just
Mhm.
going. And so through semesters, it was a great opportunity for me to learn the difference between building and management. Working in a business and on a business is not the same thing.
Mhm.
And learning to really build up my team because I couldn't do this without them. I did have a lot of the structural pieces that I knew needed to be in place, but I couldn't be the one to put all of them in place. So that was where my collaboration and my delegation and my communication, those three skills like had to grow and evolve in order for any of that to come to fruition. And then just making sure that I had the right people to help me with those pieces. That was also something that, you're constantly monitoring and adjusting for. But it makes the biggest difference when you're doing it.
Absolutely. And, when I think about that, I mean, as you know, I've had my own struggles with VAs, with different team members, and, finding that consistency that can really help. Um, just help you as an owner be able to do what you do because, when all those little administrative things are not attended to, then it's really hard to operate the way you need to operate. And so I know that I really appreciate, how you help me personally put some structure and discipline and a second set of eyes on, grooming a team to help me do the best that I can do. And I think that that's what you're doing in a larger scale with semesters, with the new Creative Zoom Network, with other things underway. So, what are some of these new things that maybe you can allude to or tell us about things coming up within the community?
Oh man, there's so many. I think the premise of everything that's being built in the community right now is really to help develop two specific things. The
Mhm.
first one is our mindset and making sure cuz it's like we can have all the skills and all the information in the world, but if we're functioning with this programmed mindset that's not really allowing us to take
Mm,
advantage of those things, they're not actually helpful things in that moment because we're just getting in our own way. So I'd say a lot of the content on what we're working on right now is for the mindset piece. But then once we have the mindset piece situated, then it is a skill piece. It is making sure you have your sharp tools and you have the
right.
right tools. And then just really encouraging everyone to get that clarity. And it is hard. It is so hard. And sometimes you have to have like additional resources and support
Mhm.
and cheerleaders to help you get that. Because
Mhm.
one of my mentors, she says that when you're in the jar, it's really hard to read the jar when you're in it,
Hmm.
right? And I feel like that's a lot of why so many people need to have like accountability partners and mentors and coaches is that I'm in a jar and I can't read the jar while I'm in the jar because it's going to be a skewed perspective. And
Sure.
so that's where the other piece comes into place is it's like we're going to help you with that mindset. We're going to help you with that jar. And then once you're clear on what it is you're trying to focus, we want to give you the best tools, the sharpest tools, the fastest tools, all of those so that you can find success and momentum quickly so that you're able to keep going for whatever your path is going to look like.
I love that. The mindset piece was not something that I was anticipating that you would say there, but I mean, it's something that comes up again and again and again. And, it made me realize just thinking about what you were saying earlier about how your role has kind of evolved now to be have some portion of it being involved in events. And I think that that is really a beautiful way to connect the education piece to the getting people to take action piece because, certainly one of the things that we all talk about, again and again within the community is how important it is to be in the room with people and to have those one-on-one connections. So education will give you some of those foundational things, but you can educate yourself to death, and truthfully, like with all the semesters and all the different topics, you could literally do nothing but educate yourself all day. And so now it's connecting that dot to that taking action and doing
Mhm.
stuff and getting messy and making mistakes and figuring it out. And, I think that's part of the beauty of having, being well equipped with all of these things.
Yeah, and you're 100% right to where it is overwhelming. And I think we actually intend to design it that way to where it's like hey, we don't want you to do all of them. We want you to pick the one that makes the most sense for you so that you
Mhm.
can hone in and focus on that and go really fast on what it
Mhm.
is you want. Cause that's also, I mean, I don't know about you, but part of my learning style is I'm a little bit of a heretic a little bit where I'm like dabbling. I like to dabble and
Right.
I'm like, okay, fine, I'm gonna dabble on this
Mhm.
thing. But I want the experience of the education and the network and the tools to be so good that I'll be able to tell really fast if that's what I want to do so that I don't
Yep.
end up having to go down that channel or that path for years before I'm like, I don't really want to go down here. I want it to be such an acute emotional transformation for people that they can instantly tell like, "Oh, this feels yucky. I don't like it." Or, "Wow, this is exactly what I was looking for." And I think that's where most of my energy is going into instructors and professors and hosts is that I want to empower them to be able to make that level of experience with their expertise. It's not my expertise, it's theirs. But if I can help them to kind of amplify what it looks like and what it feels like and what people really, really need to make serious progress, we can change thousands of lives.
Unbelievable. It's so true. And you're absolutely right. I think that and I know I kind of went on a winding path getting there, but as far as that there is an overwhelming amount of content and I guess my intent was to like make that connection between the education and people actually taking action because it's like education is great. You got to have that foundational piece, but you've got to rip the band-aid off. You've got to take action. And then, the other thing I think of kind of, thinking of the breadth of areas of expertise that are covered within semesters is that it also goes back to that whole who not how, and so the reality is we don't need to be an expert in everything. We need to know the right people to go to when we need that, and we have that, and so that's beautiful as well.
You know what I think is super interesting? We were talking about this before we jumped on camera is that I actually think that you just named like the core fundamental issue that most entrepreneurs face and it's that right there.
Mm.
It's a who not a how. We don't need to be an expert in everything. And yet, when we're playing solopreneur, I'm trying to be an expert in everything. And
Yes.
in this age of AI, it's deceptively easy to think that I can become an expert in everything. And like, I can be moderately equipped. But for some of the people that I've like rubbed shoulders with at some of our events and some of our
Mm.
courses and some of our stuff, is that that becomes their jar
Mhm.
after a while. Is I'm like, at some point, we got to get you out of this jar that makes you think that you need to be the one that knows how to make all the leads and knows how to
Mhm.
close all the deals and knows how to fund all the deals and knows how to operate the assets. At some point, I would hope that you'd pick one of those and then
Mhm.
create a really strong network around the other ones.
Absolutely. And thinking about that piece of it, that makes me realize one of the things I think you've done such a great job of is, really helping people to have the structure and to, have the building blocks and guidelines and framework to be able to handle some of those predictable things. I'm curious what advice or things that you use personally in doing what you do when it comes to AI, because that's definitely one of the tools that we can all use to help, leverage a small team. So how are you using that in operating everything that you do?
Well, so here's my confession, right? That I am a teacher. I am old school to a large extent, but I have learned that a lot of these transformations and experiences, um, they can be expanded really well with AI, but it has to be guided by a
Yes.
human. And that's where I mean, we have in our program a very hybrid situation where I want most of my energy to go towards um elevating and supporting and being in proximity with the humans.
Mhm.
the teachers and the professors and those people, so that I can equip them with AI prompts and templates
Mhm.
and resources and lists and frameworks to be like, follow these processes, use these AI prompts, and it will expand your current expertise to
Mhm.
help you get that clarity, get that experience, get that emotion that was part of their story so that they can use that to build an amazing event.
Got it. Well, that does make sense, and I was not even thinking about that at all until, you were talking about being a solopreneur and, all the people that who does what, right? And I feel like, there's so much emphasis now on, using AI agents to do specific tasks and things. And I think, as a visionary, of course, you're never going to replace the vision, right? It's some of the clerical stuff that I
Yeah.
think is a good place to plug in for that.
Well, so let's revisit this then, because I obviously wasn't talking about what we thought we were talking about. But like, let's go back to where we were talking about these solopreneurs, because I know everyone's main question right now is they're like, should I use AI to answer my emails? Should I use AI to do this and this and this? And everyone's talking about agents, and my thing with um delegation and scaling and all of that is I'm still very old school, where I like pouring into people.
Mhm.
I'm a people first builder, I guess, because I look at people as assets. I'm like, when I have the right person, they're very coachable, they're very trainable. I can build them into something absolutely extraordinary that could be taking care of lots of things in a very human way. And
Mhm.
in some businesses and some, teams like mine, I need that human aspect to be incredibly strong so that we can utilize AI to the mass amazingness that we can. But that's where, my so I don't use AI to answer my email. I have an assistant and she does that for me, and we've spent hundreds and hundreds of hours training, and she's amazing at it. And because she's able to think critically and she understands all the different aspects, which I'm sure I could program into an AI agent if I wanted to.
Mhm.
But we've developed this different system where she's able to use AI to kind of like 5 times what she's doing. And
Sure.
she's helping me 5 times what I would do. Plus, I'm 5 times. You know what I'm saying? It's like cloning.
Yeah, for sure.
But it needs a human guide for that. And so that's where I spend most of my energy and time focusing on that. But we do use AI a lot for developmental stuff. I mean, nobody decides that they want to make a course and they're like, I'm so excited to write my quiz. Like, can I please write a 10-question multiple choice quiz? I'm dying to do that. Nobody says that.
So true. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I definitely got that.
No, yeah.
But that's great perspective, and I think as we start to wrap up, just asking any vision, thoughts, questions that you're seeing a lot, maybe common themes that you're trying to address within the education, or maybe as you kind of look down the path of like what are the challenges that we see coming up in the next 6 months to a year. What are some of the tools that you're looking to equip the community with to help them just really be best at what's next?
Oh man, that's a big question. I think I've got two main thoughts, and I'm really hopeful that it's like really helpful for the audience. But the first one would be that we go back to this, multifaceted resource of, in any community, in any membership and coaching program stuff, they have so many resources that they've developed and they've built, but they're only as good as what they're being used for. And using the resource usually has some type of action. It's like they always have some type of call to action. Homework, do a quiz, do homework, to get your hands going on this thing, or go talk to this person. It's
Mhm.
only as good as what anybody's willing to do about it. So
Mhm.
that would be my first thing, is I'm like, you can have this plethora of resources and support and tools, but if you're not using them, they're not going to work. Um, the second one would just be back to that like mindset clarity piece, is that I think a lot of investors and owners in lots of different areas right now, they do see this opportunity for AI, and I want everybody to be able to expand on that and help them, but I would challenge them
Mm,
to sit down and kind of audit where I'm like, is the energy that you're putting into this transition,
mhm,
is that is that moving it closer to what you want after a certain period of time? So like I know some people they've committed to building agents for months and they still don't have what they want or they still don't have what they need. And at some point I'm
mhm.
like, you've spent this much time trying to build your agent, whereas if we had just readjusted a few things and looked at potentially just getting an assistant and doing that same amount of level of training, would you still be doing what you're doing or would you still be trying to build the agent?
Good
you know,
question.
I mean,
Love it.
because agents are not gonna go away, they're gonna be here
Mhm,
forever, and I'm so excited to dive more deeply into that, but if I'm here to make momentum and to progress and to scale, I do need to take a look at my investment options, and
mhm.
I'm all about baby steps. It's like tiny habits make really big progress at some point, and so I'm like, maybe I just start with a virtual assistant and I commit a certain amount of hours to developing an agent, and that's all it's going to be so that I'm trying to diversify my
Yep.
asset building, but I'm also not holding myself back with this unforeseen return. That would be neat.
Absolutely. I've definitely found in trying to hit the nail on the head with getting the right balance between human and AI assistance to, help ourselves do more with less. I always think about there's the investment of time as much as money because, really you have much more limited time than you do money typically, right? It's like that investment of time, what am I getting out of it? Which is, part of what you're saying there. Like, have I accomplished what I want to accomplish? And, am I doing too many different implementations or should I try things iteratively? So, really, really great point. So I know you are, of course, everywhere, literally everywhere within our community. If people want to find you specifically, follow you online, if you have office hours, things like that, where can people find you?
Oh, I am an Instagram girl through and through. I think it's just because I love pretty pictures. But they can follow me on Instagram at I am underscore Ashley Mason. That's just where I'm posting all my thoughts and inspirations. But
Mhm.
I'm always open to messages about anybody who's needing help with anything, and we can move to the next piece.
All right. Well, thank you for all that you do. I so appreciate it. I don't know how you get as much done as you do. I love the vision. I love the energy, the mindset, the whole nine yards. So thanks for coming on today as well and just being the great leader in the community that you are.
Thank you so much, Reagan, for having me. I can't wait to see what you do with this podcast over the next little while. And I would be so excited to come back if you ever would have me.
Of course. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. And tune in for more content going forward.